Hi guys, and welcome to Nightmare Narrations. This is my first video, so welcome. I thought I would start off my channel with two stories. First one is a story that has always stuck with me as far as being one of the perfect creepy stories, in my opinion. The second is actually a personal story of mine. I've never really shared it to anywhere publicly, and this is the first time it's being narrated in my own words. So before we get started, please definitely like and subscribe if you feel that I've earned it. Any and all support, of course, is fantastic. So now that we got that out of the way, we can begin with the creepy stories. So sit back, relax, get comfortable, and hopefully no one is outside your window. I was home alone one night, waiting for my parents to get home. Normally, they aren't usually okay with leaving me home alone late at night, but I had my dog, a German Shepherd, fiercely protective, so they had no issues leaving me home with my dog. Everything for the night went as planned. I took a shower, played some video games, watched TV, and got comfortable with my dog to finally lay down for the night. As always, I pet my dog, tell him good night, and he licks my hand as reassurance. I began to drift off into sleep, as I always do. At some point, I woke up in the middle of the night. I kept hearing this dripping sound. Not sure exactly where it was coming from, but it had to be close. I, of course, shrugged it off. I thought, I probably left the shower on. I was using it earlier. Maybe I didn't turn it off all the way. I sighed, rolled over, and reached out for my dog, and felt him lick my hand. If he was calm, so was I, and I went back to sleep. I don't remember how much time passed after this, but I woke up again in the middle of the night. The dripping seemed to have gotten louder somehow, and I began to worry that too much water was leaking, and decided maybe I should go ahead and investigate to see what's going on with this noise. I got up and noticed my dog wasn't there. At first, I thought it was kind of weird, but then I remembered, oh, well, maybe he had to go outside through the dog door, or maybe he went to go get a drink of water. It's possible. I didn't hear barking or growling, so I wasn't too concerned. So I decided to get up and check the bathroom. Make sure that the water was turned off and there was no issues with the shower or anything. I didn't want to be in trouble from my parents when they came home if there was a mess or a leak or wasting water. So I go to open up the door to the bathroom, and suddenly I just had this feeling. I can't explain it, but just that something wasn't right. I kept shrugging it off, saying, you're just being paranoid. You're home by yourself, so of course you're feeling like something must be wrong or that there's someone there. So I shrugged it off and opened the bathroom. At first, when I peered in from what little light from the hallway there was, nothing looked out of the norm. Until I decided to turn on the light and check the shower. I froze. What I saw will never leave my mind. I saw my dog hanging upside down by his leash with all of his blood dripping out into the shower. That was the noise I was hearing throughout the night. It was horrifying to see my dog look like that. completely brutally gutted open. How could someone do that? And that's when it dawned on me. Someone did this. This person could still be here in my house. I began to panic. I wondered, are my parents home yet? Maybe I can go to them and close myself in the room and call 911. Then, as I approached their room, quietly and carefully, they weren't even home. So I was by myself, with maybe someone in the house. I decided I needed to just go in my room, barricade myself, call 911, and wait it out until they got here. So I hurried off to my room, as quickly and as quietly as I could, and shut and locked the door, and pushed my dresser in front of it, just to be safe. I grabbed my phone to call 911, and so I could have a little bit of light. At least it wouldn't be too bright, but I would have something so I could see. When I turned on the light, I could see myself illuminated in the mirror, with my dresser in front of me. Right then, I dropped my phone in shock. On the mirror, painted in blood, was "People can lick too." Alrighty guys, that concludes story number 1. Story number 2. As I stated earlier, this is actually my own experience that's never been shared. So I thought, what better story to start off with for the first video of my channel than my own. So I am an avid horror story fanatic. I always listen to it. It fills up my work schedule since I work third shift. I'm by myself a lot, and it helps break away from some of the quiet, having something to listen to. So, of course, this story takes place during my night shift. Starting out, for the first couple hours, nothing was out of the norm. I was cleaning, making coffee, stocking, the usual things. Suddenly, I had a customer come up to the window. Not all that surprising, usual. And I greeted him and said, "Hey, what can I do for you?" He looks for a minute and thinks. And then he says, "Yeah, I want a hot dog with peppers and onions." So, for some context to this story, right now the whole coronavirus outbreak is happening. So, just to be safe of contamination, we aren't serving any hot food. We've shut all that down. So, I, of course, tell him, I'm sorry, we don't have any hot dogs right now, just because of the whole coronavirus situation. I expected this to be not a big deal, and for him to just shrug it off, but he immediately flips a switch. "What do you mean?" And again, I just told him, I'm sorry, we just don't have any hot dogs right now, but I have sandwiches and other snacks if you wanted something else. He got extremely angry and said, "You better get me a hot dog right now. There's no way you don't have hot dogs. Get me the hot dog." Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking right now. All of this over a hot dog? It's completely ridiculous and sounds hilarious, I know. But in that moment, the anger on his face and in his eyes was truly terrifying. I knew I was locked inside, so I guess that made me feel like I was safe, but deep down, it still was just a thin piece of glass between me and this guy. He stormed off, so I thought, well, maybe that's it. Maybe he's upset, but he's just gonna walk it off and that's it. But unfortunately for me, within the next 10 minutes, he came back. And this time, he said, "Get me a Steel Reserve. Now, it's over there. It's the silver one." I, of course, know what Steel Reserve is and know exactly where it is. But with the way this guy had been acting, and he made me feel uncomfortable, I had the right to deny the sale. And that's what I did. "Look, I'm sorry, but I'm not able to sell you alcohol right now." He, of course, using many profanities and anger, began beating on the glass. This made me jump. He would kept telling me to give him the alcohol and calling me every name in the book. And even threatened me to call the police. He kept saying, "You don't know what I'm going to get, how much time I'm going to get for this. You better call the cops." I was terrified, frozen. I thought to myself, why aren't you doing anything? This is like in those movies when they tell you, "Come on, call the police. What are you doing?" So I finally decided to try to hold my own against all these insults and picked up the phone to call 911. When I called 911, I explained to them what was happening and my description and all the usual things. They said someone would be there soon, but I'm sure you've heard people say that it feels like an eternity before the cops come. And it does. It felt like 30 minutes, when in reality it was probably just a few minutes before they showed up. The guy actually had the nerve to try to grab another customer outside and was screaming at them as well. Thankfully, they kind of scared him off and he ran off, and I had no idea where he went, and I was terrified that he was going to come back. He had been trying to enter the store, the glass doors, beating on the window. I'm just so thankful that I'm locked inside at night. Who knows what would have happened if he was able to get inside. As a small update to this story as well, I thankfully found out that night that he was arrested for assaulting someone else. This goes to show you his state of mind and what he would have done to me had I been out in the open to where he could get to me. Alright guys, I know this wasn't a super long video. I wasn't sure where to start, but I thought one of my absolute favorite stories with one of my own would be a good way to start out my first video. Of course, please definitely again like, comment, subscribe, and again, be gentle. I am new to this recording and editing, the whole 9 yards. But again, I'm just doing this for fun and to share the love of the creepy stories. Alrighty guys, until next time, this was Nightmare Narrations.